everybody, my name's Josh. Welcome to Bish's RV. And back here, what's really funny is a lot of people are going to look at this and go, oh, look, they copied the Grand Design Imagine 23 LDE. Here's the funny thing. Bullet has been building a couple different versions of this floor plan for a long time. Now, without question, this is very similar to the Grand Design 23 LDE and a bunch of other campers that are kind of like it, but for good reason. It has some really excellent qualities going for it. This thing tip to tail, tongue to either bumper or rear wall, whatever this one has, I can't remember, is 28 feet 10 inches. It's just under 29 feet total length, and it fits into a weight category that will be conducive to, generally speaking, half-ton towing. You always want to double-check the capacities of your specific vehicle, though. It's easy cleaning, it's carpetless, it's ventless, it's got direct viewing, entertainment, it's got lots of counter space for a small RV. That's one of the things this one does really, really well. It also has some a little bit of campsite window coverage, which a lot of smaller couples models like this do not have. We also include a little mini camp kitchen on this one, which very few builders of a layout like this I've seen do. But the thing is, when they built the camp kitchen on, they had this huge chunk of space inside that was just kind of sitting there, and it turned into one of the most massive banks of adjustable pantry or overflow closet space I've seen ever in a trailer this size. True queen bed is also a nice thing, so if you're a little bit taller like me, you can fit in the bed and the shower thanks to the barreled ceiling. It is a walk-through bathroom, which keeps the RV shorter, but some people really don't like walk-through bathrooms because if you're performing your morning constitutionals and then your partner walks through from the bedroom to the kitchen in the morning, they may be subject to chemical warfare. Basically is the reason some people don't like those. It's got other quality. It's got a lot of great qualities. It's got a couple hitches in its giddy up too. I want to try to show you the good with the bad and give you a fair presentation of this thing so that you can decide if it's the right one for you. And if you appreciate that, hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. So floor plans like this are sometimes really good, what I call barometer floor plans, comparison floor plans, because when several big name builders make the same kind of layout, you get, you can automatically filter out the layout from what makes them different. And it allows you to more easily zero in on the actual features of that company. So even if this isn't the floor plan that you love, if you're trying to decide which RV maker builds the kind of RV you like, this is one of the, a model that can really help you accomplish that. Now, sliding around the corner over here, first things first, I want to sit down and give you a look at the entertainment center. The TV is mounted up a little high, but this RV doesn't have an exceptionally extra tall sidewall. It doesn't bother me too often. Oh, there's an extra light under that I did not turn on, although my symmetry eye is twitching over here. You see how there's that light is off center? It's not in the middle of that TV or window. It's like making me go, like I feel weird about it. Anyway, you also have direct facing window coverage there, and a very social seating arrangement where, you're really across from one another and kind of, this is kind of a modern classic sort of floor plan. Now, Keystone over here has used their, they call it their Do More Dinette, their elliptical base dining table, which is nice because, it's a push and a pull. It is kind of cool that it stays sturdy. And you can, if you want to take the table outside, if you want to move it down into a coffee table, put it in front of the sofa, you want to fold it down to a sleeper, you maintain maximum function. But I feel that those are some of the most knee-knocking, leg-blocking dinette legs in the industry. Your converter fuse panel is on the bottom left right there. That is in a perfect spot so you can always access it in transit. And this is a ton of storage. But the storage shifts the entertainment center over. Where I'm sitting now, I've slid myself over to the left-hand theater seat from the right. This is the view straight on from that theater seat. So if you're sitting over here, the TV is not quite as direct facing. I mean, anytime you have multiple seating positions for one entertainment area, it's going to get a little bit like that. But I like to actually try to sit down and use a non-wide angle lens to actually demonstrate how this stuff looks, so that you have the better idea of if this thing works for you before you ever even set foot at the dealership. That's my goal, to give you all those extra tidbits and details. Your entry doors have full viewing windows. They also do have privacy shades built in from the factory. I don't have it displayed right now, but it slides from the bottom up. I've got it in all the way down. Sorry, squirrel! Where's my power outlets for the kitchen? They are probably, yes indeedy doodly, Ned Flanders said. They're under the overhead cabinets, which is not my favorite position for them. But unless you use something like some power towers that some people don't like, there's no better way to go. The thing is, they didn't make it a giant gap from the countertop to the overhead cabinets. It's not terrible. What do you think of the two-tone kitchen situation here, by the way? They stuck with the really light, bright cabinets above, and my camera kind of color shifts everything. If I get the white cabinets out of the way, this is more what that looks like. It's like a dark olive green. It's I kind of like it just because it still feels natural, but overall the camper feels kind of light and clean and bright in the RV. Now, your stovetop, I wish, had a side splash against that sidewall, but it's like RV manufacturers haven't figured out the bacon does, in fact, splatter laterally, but neither here nor there. Some good storage going on over here. Actually, before I completely flip around, let's start opening everything up. Here's we're going to start with our refrigerator and our pantry. That's one of the 10 cubic foot 12 volt compressor fridges. I'm going to probably keep mentioning the fact that it's like 10 cubic feet because a lot of manufacturers are really struggling to find ways to make everything more and more budget friendly. Ooh, removable shelves in the top section. I like that. So some manufacturers have started quietly flipping back to an 8 cubic foot 12 volt compressor fridge instead of a 10. It's funny, though, they don't ever seem to mention that in their annual enhancement updates. They just quietly have done that. So I want to make sure I pointed that out. Now, Bullet has included what I'm going to call the complete kitchen, where you not only have a propane oven down below the stovetop, but you also have the air fryer electric convection microwave oven up top. So some manufacturers will give you convection, some give you a propane oven. Bullet's doing and instead of or. I think that's kind of cool. Also, notice how they have some lights included in the cabinets. So you can actually see in there and see what you're grabbing. And it's those little thoughtful kind of details that I appreciate. Like all plywood drawer construction, all magnet holdbacks, hidden hinges on the cabinet doors. And if I get right up here next to their drawers, you can see how they fully like sand off and basically polish the top of those drawer boxes so you don't have a splinter factory. There's little stuff like that that will never appear in any sort of RV buyer's guide that I look for when I'm like, how detail-oriented is this brand? It was kind of hard to see, so I wanted to get everything out of the way, get the drawers out of the way. You do have some, what would you put down in there? Am I wrong for kind of thinking that would almost be more useful being an open air pocket, like a shoe garage? It feels weird to say that. I don't like saying that in a kitchen. It feels like a dirty thing in a kitchen, but it's an enclosed space right next to the door. It's kind of making sense to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm drunk again. I'm not even sure. So the president of our company, I was sending him some of the goofy stuff that I put on camera earlier today. And his response was, "What have you been drinking this morning?" And I told him it's probably best for HR if I don't answer that question. Just don't ask questions you don't want answers to. Again, they're good about putting lights in cabinets. I like the little stuff like that's a smart TV, by the way. Some of the Bullets have smart TVs and some of them don't. I haven't fully figured that out. Anyway, there's a look at that elliptical base. Now, that can fold down into a little sleeper. And I like how they did a nice job kind of routing out the door cutouts on that. I can tell that they're hand routed, but they also swept back through kind of like the kitchen drawers, and they like finished and sanded that off really nicely. So it's not gonna like rip you up, cut you up, rawhide. Now over here, down below, doesn't look like major storage. You're like, why didn't they make that bigger? Because there's an outdoor camp kitchen behind that. But above it, they had an opportunity to absolutely go ham, and they really did. It occurs to me, everyone may not necessarily know what that statement means. Look it up at your own discretion. But these shelves are adjustable, removable. You can see that if you want to use that as hanging closet space, you could. It's big enough. I looked at it and went, oh man, is that washer dryer prepped? And it's not. I'm not a person who personally has any use for washer dryer prep in an RV, but that doesn't matter if I like it or would use it or not. It's a question of you, the potential owner. Would you like it? Would you buy it? Because a lot of times people go, oops, I kicked something. People will say, well, does this one have washer dryer hookups? And a floor plan just literally doesn't have space for it. This one does. So do you think it's a feature they should include? Because there's part of me that says, well, if you have space for the feature, include it. But the trick is that will add extra cost to the RV. And when I say the vast majority of people don't use washer dryer hookups, I mean over 98% of washer dryer prepped RVs never have a washer dryer unit installed. So I like the idea of including the feature, but then the vast majority of people are paying more money for a feature they don't need. I don't know. I get myself hung up on that one. Because if it's there, it doesn't hurt anything. But if it's not there, you might be sunk, you know? So, I don't know. Leave me a note. Let me know the best way to go. Meanwhile, here's a look at me on the turlet. The fact is, though, fairly fluffy friendly. This one satisfies the 3S. Plenty of hip, shoulder, leg, elbow room. And it's a walk-through bathroom, which means you do cut the camper off when you're using it. But when it's mostly a solo and or couples model, that doesn't bother me too terribly much. It's okay if you disagree, that's fine. But you do have a nice large rectangular shower in here as a result. Now this RV isn't extra super tall or anything like that. For instance, if I climb myself over here in the shower space, it's a 6.5 foot wall, but it has about a 5-6 inch barrel. So I can usually basically stand in the shower, not a problem. And it has one of those retractable shower doors. Now, all of your Bullets have the more basic 4-inch fart fan. I've yet to meet a single person who genuinely would not like a larger bathroom vent fan. But to say that the larger bathroom vent fans cost 5 to 10 times more for a basic one versus the 4-inch fans, that's why we don't get a lot of them. Now, this, by the way, 50 amp service. So like today we're looking at the single 15,000 BTU central air, but it is prepped and ready. If you want to add a second air, it is good to go. Now, very important note, remember, we're looking out a bedroom window, which makes you feel a little weird, like you don't have privacy. It does have that bottom-up bedroom privacy shade built into it. And if you look at the red switch on the door handle, that right there is your deadbolt. I've never found a better way to phrase this beyond saying it gives you the choice of sleeping alone or sleeping with the neighbors. I guess just however you want to chew on that one. Moving on. Let me see if I can shed some light on the subject. Kick my little light on the camera here. Back there in that corner, some household and USB outlets. Your USB plugs household outlets, by the way, they are inverter prepped. So you actually, if you want to add an inverter to the RV, it can handle up to 2,000 watts to run whatever you want to run in here. Coffee maker in your bedroom. But there's 7 or 8 outlets throughout the RV that are inverter prepped. I am wondering, are these? Oh, thank you, Bullet. I wasn't sure those were going to be strutted and self-supporting because some of their floor plans do, and some of their floor plans don't. I wasn't really sure which side of the equation this is going on. Now, I want to be fair. The driver's side of the bed has this extra long side stand over here. I'm not going to call it the most walk-around bed ever. It is a 60 by 80 true queen, which is nice. But because things like the water heater and the enclosed docking center are located under here, it limits the ability you have to walk around the bed. And obviously, I'm not using a fisheye wide-angle lens. I can, I just don't like them. So basically, the bed just eats up the entire camera frame. Thankfully, getting to the storage under that bed is not terribly hard. And where this side stand was extended, they had some open space above the water heater or whatever the crap is under there. So they said, hey, let's throw in an extra drawer. No one ever gets upset about having extra drawers, but some people definitely get upset about having not enough drawers. For instance, whenever we would go on a family trip, when I was younger, my mom would always yell at me if I didn't pack enough drawers. But those were different type of drawers. Anyway, now, one of the other things that I've done is I've also, oh, hello, I didn't notice this before. Usually Bullet doesn't do a lot of floor vents, but in the bedroom they apparently didn't have a way to hide a wall ducted heat vent. So we do have a meat slicer floor vent right there at the foot of the bed. You probably won't be stepping on that. You probably be walking around it. Anyway, I have closed the slide up for road mode. I was actually a little bit surprised to see that this one does have two-stage travel access. Several builders of this layout have designed this floor plan in a way that when the slide closes, you can still slip through from front to back to front again. So having the second door straight here into the bedroom suddenly becomes far more important on this layout, because if they didn't have that at a travel stop, you'd never be able to get to the bedroom, you'd never be able to get to the bathroom unless you open the slide. Now this is a Norco Accu slide. One of the benefits of it, like rack and pinion, is that you can deploy it partially if you wanted to, but I don't really know that it's going to provide a lot of function on this floor plan. You'd have to pretty much open it almost all the way to be able to get into that bathroom space right there. But from this door, you can obviously access the dining because it's not in the slide, so the dining remains functional. The refrigerator remains functional. The sink is accessible. Majority of our campsite critical kitchen storage is accessible. You can technically get to the stovetop and microwave and stuff, but they're kind of tucked back behind the slide, so I don't really think that's ideal. And unless you add an inverter, you're not going to be able to run the microwave. Actually, I don't even think this microwave is run to the inverter. So at a travel stop without a generator, you really wouldn't use the microwave anyway. So it doesn't have perfect travel access, but it's not terrible. I just like to give you a look at what it is and what it's not. And if you appreciate getting a look at it in what I call road mode, hit that little subscribe button, and maybe I'll keep doing it. Now, if we start talking what it takes to tow this thing around right here, I think many later model tow package half tons are probably going to find this within their safe and reasonable capacities. Now, if you're going to do some mountain towing or something like that, you might want to step it up a little bit. But generally speaking, for the most part, this would fall in that half-ton towable category. What is also helping the travel factors on this is that it's running on better tires and suspension. This is actually running on Goodyear Endurance radials, and it's using the same torsion suspension as like Airstream, Rockwood, and Flagstaff. So it is a system that basically it just trails better behind you. I couldn't decide if I wanted to say tracks or trails, and is what came out of my mouth. Now, your front and rear corner cap screw trim are illuminated on this. I guess someone thought that was a bright idea. If you want to turn that off or dim it down, there's actually a switch for that up here in the front pass-through cavity, which you might have noticed has slam latches and magnet holdbacks. That's what the little dimmer switch up in that little region up in there might be. But the rear lights on this model are red, which kind of make it look like brake lights, but they don't actually function like brake lights. If those front nose lights were orange and they blinked with your turn signals, or if they were a blind spot detection indicator, that would be amazing. If the rear vertical beams worked with your brake lights, that would be incredible. They don't do that. That's something I think would be really cool, but those two things would actually cost a chunk of money to accomplish. So that hasn't been done yet. What they did do, though, is give you a very awesome practical feature, a really big awning that is clearly covering both entry doors, both of which have the larger stable steps, by the way. And in the middle here, basically under and or behind that gigantic mega pantry, we've got a little mini camp kitchenette where you've got Dad's medicine cabinet for the bottled water and the barley pop, but you also have the little pull-out griddle. Now, this is all standard. If you don't want the griddle, if you don't want the fridge, you could remove them, but they are factory standard pieces of equipment, so kind of keep that in mind. The underbelly of this, it is enclosed. It is also forced air heated, but this is what you would call extended season. It doesn't actually have a rated, tested, proven number. I can't tell you the number of degrees you can camp in this before it stops working or freezing or whatever. It's just, they haven't tested it. They haven't promised, so I can't. There's a good look at those red tail beams right there. Again, I really wish those glowed along with the brake lights. I think that would be very, very cool. Now you've got a 250-pound rated ladder to get you up top here. There is a 220-watt solar panel on top, and we are backup camera ready back here. Now they don't specifically prep for one camera brand, because the fact is, basically, any RV, even an RV that doesn't say backup camera prep, can still have a backup camera put on it. And frankly, it takes about the exact same amount of labor, whether it is or is not prepped. So they just make it easy to slap one on there, whatever variety. It could be the Furion, it could be a Halo View, it could be whatever you want. On the back here, they've included a normal bumper that is acting as our spare tire holder. One of the nice things about a spare tire being on the bumper is, God forbid you have to change a tire on the roadside, this is the easiest way to access that tire. But if you want like a bike rack or something, you shouldn't also slap a bike rack on it. So they gave us a Class 2 receiver hitch down there. I don't know the hard weight rating on that. I'll see if I can't circle back and get that updated, or ask Cousin Garrett, RV Nerd video editor, to drop a note on screen for us. Meanwhile, walking around here, this is a two-headed sewer monster, which is pretty much almost always the case with nearly all rear kitchen models. Not all, but most. So back here, you have your kitchen gray tank outlet. And then in the front, we're going to have a bathroom black and gray outlet. So this RV actually has two separate gray tanks. They don't talk to one another. They're not cross-plumbed together whatsoever. You know, I like to give you those extra little details on that sort of thing. We've also got the 60,000 BTU on-demand water over here next to our enclosed docking station. But just below that, you have a side mount solar prep plug. And that goes along with the factory standard roof solar package. And Keystone actually has a little bit better hardware in their solar package versus most brands. Don't get me wrong, it's still basically a battery tender, but it does a better job of it. Basically, they're using a 10% larger panel and a charge controller that's 10 to 15% more efficient. So the end result is, do the math, you know, potentially 20+% more charging into the battery from the sun on this system without needing to do anything. And to make sure the RV's battery stays charged up, you've got what they call their Gigi Box, which is a battery disconnect on steroids, although it needs a little bit of a bath now, doesn't it? But what that thing does is it eliminates all of the parasitic load from this RV. So when you're not using this RV, a lot of your modern electronics don't turn off. They go into standby, like stereos, and they just eat slowly the battery. And this prevents that from happening, but it still allows the solar package to keep that battery charged up. Not only will that eliminate a lot of headaches and hassle for you, it'll also eliminate how often, or reduce drastically rather, how many times you need to replace the battery for your RV. Because a lot of people change those things out every 2 or 3 years, and you shouldn't have to. And the solar package and Gigi Box in this are two major features to help you overcome that. Just to kind of wrap this up quickly and cleanly, I'll leave you links in the video description to double check pricing and availability on one of these right on our website. No need to call a salesperson to get a rough idea of what one of these might run. The other thing is, I'll also leave down there links to similar models from other builders that I've recorded before, whether it's Grand Design, Jayco, whoever. Tracer has a thing kind of like this. I'd be kind of curious to know, if you take a look at those, if you're willing, which one would you go with and why, if it was your money on the line? Is this the best one for you, or does something else catch your eye a little more? Would be kind of curious to know which one that might be. And thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Remember, we don't do hidden dealer fees. We just do everything else to take care of you. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.